Uh-huh. Recording is in progress, and guess
Yes, it
what?
is. Yep.
Girls are coming out of the
Nice
barn.
cow,
Hey guys.
Susan. Bravo, bravo. Finally, finally.
I have to say,
Arriba.
I even have to say, I was impressed. Uh, I was impressed. That was a pretty good cow. But can you do it again? I don't know. We have to see. Try it again. I want to hear that. No, we didn't even hear that, Susan.
Nothing.
See, that's because the green was around your face.
Crickets.
You know, in an experiment, scientific or otherwise, if you can't duplicate the results, it's a failure, okay? So
Okay.
you gotta work on it.
I'd like to take the lead of this podcast, and I'd like to explain some things to our castees, all those people out in the cow barns.
Well, say hi.
Our internet is no good today. So welcome to the Coswill podcast with lousy internet. And that means that Bob and Susan and Paul will be talking over each other and not be being heard as much as usual. Go, Bob.
Hey, everybody's looking at me, and I'm look at my hand.
Okay, so already we're screwed up because Paul wasn't supposed to talk next.
I'm
Go,
frozen.
Bob.
That kind of silence you're going to hear in and out of today's episode because eventually the three of us are going to stop out of not wanting to intimidate each other or our guest, Tom Garrett with Classic Explorer. And there's going to be some awkward pauses, some stumbles over each other.
Look at Paul's freeze.
And Paul's going to pretend to freeze.
I froze myself. Watch.
Hey, that's that kind of thing that people were doing in groups.
Sorry, you guys.
Freezing.
All right. Okay.
All right, let's try and peel in. We are on our podcast. This is work, gentlemen.
Do we want to run down our itinerary and irritate the one listener who, in fact,
yes,
I don't remember his name, but you who do not want to listen to our itinerary, here it comes.
So he's been voted.
February, yeah, you've been voted down. Sorry, February 11th, Cranston. We are opening for Steve Smith and the Nakeds, a 50th anniversary for their career up mostly in the Northeast. They pounded that for decades and are still going strong. And we're going to be opening for them with 10 songs. We're going to have horns in the music because they're our backup.
Oh, y'all, come on. This horn thing. You guys, we're going to be, here's what I'm calling us for the night. We are blood, sweat, and cowsills because these guys are.
Well,
ahead,
they have a badass trumpet, I heard it, a whole huge trumpet thing with love.
So in the beginning, I thought this band, backup band, I didn't know much about who was backing us up. And I knew they had a horn section, but well, that only applies to We Can Fly and Love American Style for us. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give the horns a break. And because we have a small set, we can only do 10 songs. So I said, we'll keep Rain the Park, Indian Lake, and Hair, and I won't put the band through having to learn We Can Fly and Love American Style, not realizing that was their wheelhouse at the time.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God, okay. Yeah.
That's why it's ironic that later on, as negotiations went on the way, this goes all the way back to it getting canceled in October and moved back. So once it got back on the burner, you know, you kind of forget anyway, it was a trip. It was a trip.
So what is really exciting, you guys, and in case you didn't catch this, we, the Cowsills, will have horns. And we're looking forward to it because that'll be the one and only time that ever happened to us, except, of course, on the special when Paul played the trumpet.
Yeah.
He was playing We Can Fly. He was playing We Can Fly. So that was good. You know,
hey, what's Paul trying to show us?
Paul, you sold that.
This is hilarious.
Paul grabs this trumpet in our NBC TV special, the one we had in '68, and we're doing We Can Fly. And Paul's at the keyboard, and he's hitting that keyboard with his right hand, and he's trumpeting with his left. And I'm going, what a band member! What a band member!
It was great. It was great.
It was so funny. I got to tell you. All right, so Cranston.
Okay, so all right, so Cranston.
Yeah, come to the show.
Do we say it's that we're opening, right? We're just an opening act now.
We are opening for Steve Smith and the Nakeds, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have a meet and greet. We're going to do a finale song with the band where the Cowsills, or as Susan says, Blood, Sweat, and the Cowsills shows up.
Yeah.
Or Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago.
I have to say one other thing that is I'm sorry, Bob, and I do hate to interrupt, but it's going to happen a lot. But here's the thing. Because of the nature of our internet today, Paul and I are struggling. And I feel like it's when we were kids, we used to go to church before we were on Ed Sullivan, and trying to maintain in church, because it was a serious moment. I'm having a little trouble maintaining my podcast professional stance because Paul keeps freezing in great ways. I can't stop laughing. And then I know he's laughing too. And then he shows up back laughing. So I just want to apologize for the laugh Monday.
Hey, I didn't realize it was going to freeze. It really did.
Anyway, all right, listen, we're laughing, guys. Anybody who's just listening to audio, Paul froze, but he froze in one of his pretend freeze spaces that actually froze, so it was ridiculous for a longer time.
Hey, we need Tom Garrett to come on and save us because I can't. I mean, the kid in me cannot stop with this. Okay, Bob, next gig.
March 23rd to the 30th. We're on all week, 3 shows, Q&As. We'll have the merch there. All good there. And ladies and gentlemen, after that, the Coswills show up in Wheeling, West Virginia on tax day because they're the tax men. April 15th with Lightning Strikes Again, Lou Christie. And then we hop a plane the next day to Westerly, Rhode Island. Our trio show.
Paul, you're interrupting Bob.
No, it's background music for ambiance. I knew what he was doing.
I just was singing.
I know.
Right. Thank you, Bob.
We heard that our musical director, Godfrey Townsend, is spreading vicious, vile mathematical rumors that we have 60 shows booked for Happy Together. Now, the older folks on the tour are afraid of a comment like that. Now, we love it because we want 70. Okay. And we know there's 90 days in the summer. So don't talk to us about, what makes sense on that. Okay. Anyway, that's what we heard.
I was just going to say that I'm calling Marie Osmond.
Now, Susan, please do. Now, one of the great gigs we have is June 23rd, not with the Happy Together tour. That's during our first break. We are opening for Finally, and we've wanted this ever since we've known him back in the mid-60s, to open for Peter Noon and Herman's Hermits in St. Cloud, Minnesota on June 23rd. We're very excited about that, and we hope that ends up being a nice relationship and we can do more shows together. That's what we're hoping.
I am Henry VIII. I am. I got married to
I'm going to tell you something. When you talk, the green screen goes around you and the other guys are cut out. And they only yells at me when I do it.
Well, we can wrap up the Herman's Hermits by saying, something tells us we're into something good. Okay.
Something tells us we're into something. Something tells us we're into something.
And then we get into next January 2024. We're in Vero Beach on the 25th of January. And this is the big announcement. The next cutting room night for the Coswills is January 27th, 2024. Be there. We're going to rock the house.
Wow. I did not even know that.
I think Pledge Music are getting their CDs. I know that. We're making a big decision about that. We'll let you know what we come. We're tired of people complaining about us trying to do a good thing.
Hey, you guys, be nice to Sean Kelly, please.
Yeah, it's not his fault. Okay? He's just trying to help. Yeah. Yeah, see? If you're not nice, we're going to chase you down. See?
Yeah, sure.
We won't talk numbers, obviously, here, but if you notice, because we don't want to, but we just got Brad's update on, sales of whatever he's getting sales.
Brad's our record.
Yeah.
And
you mean of our record.
Good week.
Good week for rhythm.
Yeah. Good week for ROWT.
ROWT.
ROTW.
I always feel like I joined some army with that.
Hey, speaking of Rhythm of the World, okay? We want you guys.
Yes, Bob.
We want you to look for a vintage guitar magazine review of Rhythm of the World coming out this coming week. Look for that. We've been telling you about SiriusXM's Coswill Week. The editing, we heard from Lou Simon, the editing became a little bit more complex than they thought. So that's coming very soon. And Rhythm of the World, Paul just said we had a good week. We're rocking it. We're 4 months into a 2-year plan. It's still a baby. It's almost walking, though, Rhythm of the World. And
what are we looking at there?
Yep.
Well,
we did an interview in Germany this morning. And so look for Good Times magazine. It's a European rock and roll magazine.
We're going to Europe, y'all. I can feel.
I'll find out when it's coming out.
let's introduce our little segment of griping because I have a gripe. I have a gripe that, and I'm going
We
to
have a great.
I'm still experiencing it and I don't like it. And I think the technology is there for Zoom to get its act together and make it so this freaking delay everyone has to deal with. I don't understand how you have such a great product and you take one step short of making it where people can be in the same room. Figure it out. I'm sorry to be so angry about it, but I am. Thank you. Because I know the money and technology is there to fix it.
But yeah, because we can go to Mars, we can go to the moon, we can do all this different stuff, but we can't get the technology to be able to sing together and to talk without these delays and looking
and you would have thought during the pandemic that they would have worked on that, like, because that would have been the time, because people really were trying to perform on Zoom. We were all trying to make a dime on Zoom, and if you had to do that, you had to get all these like different recording scenarios with people in different places and then snip it together, and it was really a mess.
Here's what's fun: bad mouthing the platform that we use for our own podcast. I just love the way that is.
Hey, you know what? A gripe has no boundaries.
That's right.
That's right. By dint of what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I'd like to go next. I know I've shared with you guys the local problem of potholes that turn into small swimming pools and recreational wells, and what I'd like to ask any of my New Orleans listening friends, please get your Christmas trees out of the potholes. It was cute. It was funny.
Oh, really?
Okay. All through the holidays. They're hilarious.
Wow.
You come around the corner, there's a tree decorated just to drive the point home. Well, it's Mardi Gras, gang. Can we get them out of there? And let's just start writing letters again on getting them fixed instead of decorating them. Okay, because decorating them and so the guy comes by to observe the potholes, sees a tree and goes, well, hell with this one. So I think it's time to get the Christmas trees out of the potholes. There's about 7 of them that I know throughout the city. And because I don't think it's helping. Thank you. Thanks, guys. What, Bob?
You take the Christmas tree out of the pothole, then the cars are going to start dropping into the pothole again. So the Christmas trees were serving a function. Now, maybe you can put maybe a cover over the pothole might work. I know there's infrastructure bill money available for that. Let him get that and fix it.
Paul? Okay, that's good, Bob. Paul?
Well, I think that the trees were left there because while the trees were there, nobody called about the potholes. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to leave the trees in there and just go, well, we're not seeing the potholes. The cities are going to figure out a way to do that.
Okay, so you both cited the reasons why I need our very clever and creative neighbors to get their freaking trees out of the potholes so that either A, we start falling in them again and now everybody's paying attention, and or B, if they're even coming out to look at it, it's not what Paul said. They're just saying the heck with it. So trees need to don't redecorate them for Mardi Gras. I know that's what's going to happen.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then we'll have a whole other month where
they're picking up water under the pothole, and they're staying alive in the pothole.
They're growing, for God's sake.
They are. That's funny.
They're rooting.
That is funny. And I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but, and this is just lately. I mean, I don't know how many years or how many months, but it's just lately that. So when you buy a package of something, and then they show you where to tear that top of that piece of plastic that's going to get you to the Ziploc portion of the tortilla package or whatever it is you're trying to open. Now, remember back in the day, you would just get that and you would just pop them open. But now it's almost like you need a knife to get in there and find somewhere along the route to try to pull it apart. And it's just, it's gone crazy. I can't. So what happens is you tear the Ziploc bag that's going to keep the tortillas fresh forever. Now you've torn that because you couldn't get to it. Is that, you guys experience that?
Oh yeah. Just last night, cat treat bag. And to add to it, and tell me if you don't relate, like sometimes they're kind and they'll put a slip that indicates, yes, we're going to make this easy for you, and you pull that, and it isn't always. But on now lately, there's no even slip. So a girl like me gets over it quick, cuts underneath that zippy thing because it's going to get ruined. as I'm doing it that way. So I just go cut the chase, take my sizers out, bite it, rip it, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. It's a nightmare to the end because even if you slide that thing off the top and put it to the side, okay, it's still not so easy to separate the two micro sized
Right.
millimeter sections to get to the little plastics that stuck together
Tongue and groove.
that you want to pull apart. And
Yep.
then it's even a nightmare if you got that.
Yep.
You pull out your ham, you pull out whatever it is, just trying to put those two long plastic things back together again. Sometimes you're on the table and you put it, oh, I heard that click, I heard that click, because you want to seal it. That's the
Right. Yeah. And then when you do get lucky enough to seal it, you realize, oh my God, there's air in it. And so now it's like, oh, I wanted the air out.
Yeah. So that's now you're folding the ham.
Yeah.
And you're coming up and you're pushing
there. Oh, absolutely.
Up to the top of the bag. And now you've sealed the bag. But you're going to open a little tiny hole up there to let that air out and hope it doesn't start opening the bag again. But you won't get that air out.
Have you guys seen the plastic bag that has the blue go backy forthy guy?
Never
but
works.
You must decompress the center of it in order to make it zip together. So you have to take it with these two fingers, hold the side, push down with that one, and hope to.
Oh,
God.
yes.
You seen that thing? What is that about?
Okay, it's called a finger breaker.
I'll tell you what it's called, an IQ test, because yesterday I had where you pull it, and I saw the beautiful looking convenient red little knob that is going to help me just slide this thing open. Okay, so I slide it, doesn't open. I slide it back, doesn't open. Yep. I slide it 4 times and it wouldn't open. I said, and I got the scissors. I said, screw this. But now Susan's, I think, telling me you needed to go a further step. You got to squeeze something in there.
You got to compress the center, dude. It's nuts. You need 2 hands or a helper to close one.
Right. That's what I'm talking. It's getting very expensive.
Here's our guest today, Tom Garrett. Now,
hey, look, my phone's shooting out rays. Paul, look.
The group's the classics for Oh Stormy.
Yeah.
Bring back the traces of love long ago.
Long ago.
It work out right.
Brandy, you're a fine girl.
No.
Tom Garrett, who we spend summer camp with, has the story for and he'll be out with this summer with us with the classics 4 and those great songs, and they are smooth. His story is so amazing. How he got on this stage and became sort of the lead singer of the classics 4, and how he had carried the story of him carrying that mantle is really good. So, and you people want to Google ahead, look up Dennis Yost, the classics 4. You can see what happened. The history is incredible because they got a smooth sax player. Yeah, I want to hear
they did. Yeah.
Every instrumental was a saxophone instrumental, which made him different from all those other bands.
Yes.
Is that who brought it?
Without the saxophone, it says you might as well not have the lead vocal. You know what I mean? That's how important the saxophone was. The parts are as memorable as
those recordings.
Oh yeah, it's like the harp in Rain the Park. I guess I don't know what an analogy would be, but without saxophone, it's not going to sound like the recordings of the classics 4. So that's how important the sax was in their sound. And it's interesting.
Yeah, the sax actually worked like the gimmick or the hook. When people go, we need a hook chorus. In those songs, the sax was that,
and even in a way like a call and response vocal. It's like oh storm, bam, 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 bam. That could have been a background. Hey, Tom Garrett might be Zoom challenged. He's our age. Sorry, Tommy.
Maybe so. Well, why don't I tell a little bit of a puffer fish?
Please. We can always cut him off.
I just wanted to make sure we establish who's in here today and what songs. And go for it, Paul. Puffer.
Hey, so we all know that we all have heard of the Salem witch trials, okay? Burn them at the stake, They did. Well, did you know that there were 2,000 people were accused during that time of being a witch, but not one ever got burnt, ever. Not Most of them, most of the 2,000 went to jail, and there were a couple of them hung, but nobody ever got burnt at the stake.
Guinevere
Right?
did.
You love that?
I do. I do like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Here's a good one, and it's what President Zachary Taylor did. He died of an overdose. Okay. And so we lost our president that day from an overdose. And what he overdosed on was too many cherries and too much milk.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, they're saying the acid from the cherries didn't mix well with the milk, but I do it all the time, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Cherries and milk. You just so happens that you eat cherries and drink milk all the time as a combo.
Isn't that crazy though? So that's how we lost that president.
I think I can believe that because of my experience of pistachio nuts and eating so many I couldn't get to Bill's wedding. I was so sick. So that must have been salt, I guess, or maybe.
But wait, and I'm not being cheeky. Wait. What I heard about that event, and please don't get mad, but that there was pistachio and Lancer wine combo. Is that not true? And I thought that didn't sound like you.
Susan.
No, Lancer wine was another night.
Thank you, Paul. That was a night we had in the South where we drank Lancer's wine. Now we're just 19 and 8, whatever we were doing in that room. And we got loopy on it, the Lancer's wine. And we were so sick. And the next day, and Dad found out, and he was laughing at us because the next day we had 2 days of the small planes in the South kind of travel to the next gig, and they bounced, and we were green skinned, sick from hungover from Lancer's cheap wine. We learned our lesson, but you conflated that with another event. You combined two memories.
I crossed him over, but may I ask you? So you claim that our father laughed at you. You did not get in trouble. He laughed because you were hungover and in a plane being sick.
Which to him was trouble enough. Yes, that's true.
So can you imagine the mindset of a parent thinking like that? You think about your buddies who you were out drinking with the night before. You're supposed to say to your kids, hey, that's not cool. But no, our dad goes, served you right. We're going on a prop plane today. Our
dad let it ride. Dad let it ride that night. I remember that. I got a couple of good ones I really do want to get in, and
come on.
Which one to take first? I've got like 4 of them, but anyway, we'll take them quick. Not much discussion on this next one. Did you know that the Olympics in ancient times, the athletes completed totally naked?
That sounds like it. Game of Thrones-y. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, and it was because they felt closer to the gods with no clothes on.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the female events, did they have more attendance than the male events?
There were no female events in ancient times.
Okay.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Next one.
Yep. So here's another one. This is really cool. Adolf Hitler's nephew, Billy Patrick Hitler, fought in the Second World War for the United States and earned the Purple Heart and became a citizen of the United States. Aww. Billy Patrick Hitler.
For real?
For real.
So he had an Irish-German cousin? You say cousin?
No, nephew. So
nephew. So one of his brother's kids.
Yeah.
And his kid said, my uncle's nuts. I'm getting out of here and I'm getting the other side.
He and Uncle Adolf had a falling out.
Yes.
He had to give back the car he bought him.
Yeah, that was a good one. Here's another good one in that kind of same vein. Between the years 1940 and 1970, Yale was having a test. So it gathered material for a study on rickets. And so between 1940 and 1970, Yale students and then Vassar and then Brown required their freshmen to pose nude for a complete photo shoot.
Wait a minute. What do these things have to do with one another?
Like rickets and a photo shoot? I don't know. I don't know what they were. So that's an interesting study.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is about the students that I'm about to name that were freshmen that went to Brown and Vassar and Yale and had to do a nude photo shoot. What, Susan?
Can you please explain, though, to possibly Bob and myself, but me for sure, how this study on rickets has to do with this photo?
I went no deeper than it was rickets that they were trying to gather factual material about.
Okay, and then their senior photo, or
no, their freshman photo, not seniors. The first year they come in, they do a totally nude photo layout. Okay, here are the three promising people that did it that I recognized right off the bat. One was George W. Bush. He was there. He had to do it. Hillary Clinton, Vassar, she had to do it. And Meryl Streep went to Brown. She had to do it.
I'm thinking that the rickets photographs, rickets does something to your body physically. Yeah. And they're getting the baseline for how they look now. And so wow, Meryl Streep looks pretty hot right now. Well, let's see if she maintains that. We'll have to take her picture every year.
Okay. All I want to know is where are the lawsuits? Where are the lawsuits? Yep. It has not crossed Meryl's mind to maybe call over there and ask if they're still doing it. Why they were doing it. What?
Yeah, it never crossed their mind to mention that. Look at when you go and looking for my closets and you find my ghost, and you're going to find this thing here that I had to do because I went to college or something.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But I don't think the internet was around back then.
No,
it ended in 70. Required that? Yeah. Who? The runner of the school?
Yeah.
What the hell?
No, it'd be medical.
Yeah.
They're going to claim that we need to get a baseline of their bodies because if you get rickets, it's going to do this to your body, and we'll know they have rickets.
Yeah,
I'd take an art class. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I want to see the all-male board that came up with that scam. That's pretty good.
Thank you, Robert.
That is really good.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom is in touch with us. Tom Garrett is in touch with us. Everything.
This is so great. It's like live radio. Go, Bob.
A little issue. Be here in a few minutes. So we're good.
Yes. I would like everybody to get super excited about this episode that's going to come up. We haven't talked to either one of them. I know they're both going to say yes, and that's the John. Where's John?
Yes.
We will get
John Stamos, John Coswill.
We'll do that after Kevin Jonas. We'll find the Johns.
I'm going to be frozen like Paul. Tom.
He's connecting to audio. We have
Can
Tom
you hear
Garrett
us, Tom?
coming into the house. I hope he can.
Whoa, there's our man.
Tom's in the house right now.
Tom. Cannot hear you yet. There are no traces of love coming through these lines. Can you hear us?
Love long ago.
Hold on, he's almost here. Hello, Earthling.
Now, luckily, I'm a lip reader, so we're going to ask questions, and I will tell you what Tom is saying.
There you are, Tom. I got you. Hang on. No, I don't. No, I don't. This is like the Invisible Man, only it's the invisible voice.
Or your beautiful young wife who might be able to help you.
Here, I'll talk to the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on an episode of Cribs, and we have come to Tom Garrett of the Classics Fours house. He now is showing us the ceiling, how the wall and the ceiling comes together by the curtains.
A halogen lamp right behind him. Okay, Tom is completely gone now. All right, Casties, listen, for those of you who are just audio, I need to update you. We've lost Tom Garrett. We have lost him physically. We've lost him audibly. So it's just me and Bob and Paul now in our three little squares of insanity.
AI is going to have the ability, you guys, to look just like us, okay?
Who's AI?
So, AI, artificial, intelligence. And so we could be sitting here and all of a sudden they break in the news. It goes, now a special report from the White House. And then it could be like Joe Biden, but it wouldn't be him. It would really be, an AI. And so it could get confusing. I mean, people are confused anyway, so that would be good.
All right, most recent example of that. So last night on Shark Tank, a guy comes in and he's got a computer program where you loop yourself in a meeting, okay? But it's like a class in college where, man, there's no way I'm going to talk in this class. Right. So he stays in bed, but in the Zoom classroom setting or the Zoom meeting, his square has him in it. sipping a cup of coffee, listening.
I should tell my friend Nathan that when he's doing his meetings.
Yeah. When Tom comes back, I'm going to go, well, Tom, we're plumb out of time.
So I would like to apologize to Nate, our editor, because of what we're going to send him.
Yeah. Sorry, Nate.
This is a tough one today, Natty boy. You're going to be okay, though.
Hey, I got Tom here. Do you have Tom? I have
Tom. I got Tom.
Tom, how you
I got
doing?
Walgreens. They want me to come pick up a prescription. Yeah, I can come down right after the podcast. Thank you.
There's a Tom.
Hello.
Holy cow!
Oh.
You made it, Tom.
So here's the deal, though. I have things on. I have the computer going. I have my phone going.
You got a crotch shot.
They also named a club after you.
Oh yeah.
Tom Club. All
Oh
right.
look, you guys are like, you're on the world. That's amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
these are our podcast squares.
We're a pendulum.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is just sit down here and stop moving around because
We're getting
it's
nauseous,
kind of freaking me out.
Tom.
Yeah. So how's everybody? It's good to see you.
We'd like to formally let everyone know this is Tom Garrett. We spend summer camp with Tom, and we're going out again this coming June on the Happy Together tour with Classics 4 and Cowsills and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we want to thank him for persevering through the technology. Because it took us weeks, learning curve to get on Zoom together and be able to handle this. So you did good, Tom. It only cost you a few minutes.
Okay, welcome to the Coswill podcast, Tom. And listen, so everybody knows Tom Garrett, Classics 4, Spooky, Stormy, every weather song you can imagine. Tom has been the lead singer since Dennis Yost passed in 2008, and we will get to all of that. But Tom, I like to do this at the very front of our casts. And I like to kind of find out how our guests, which are usually known musicians or known in their field anyway, I like to ask when you were born and you were a little dude or dudette and you were coming up in the world. I know that your mom was musical and things like that. But for you, what did you want to be when you grew up besides a singer or besides a horn player? Did you have any other thing that you were thinking you might want to do?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a police officer.
Okay, that was first.
That was number one. And I had the opportunity to do that for a little while. And sometimes reality is not as good as what you imagine. And so I left, but I worked. Worked as police in the Air Force. And then when I got out, I had a civilian job for a little while and realized that wasn't really me.
Okay, but go ahead, Bob.
Just a follow up to that. That's fascinating. So you wanted to be a cop. So you had to me, that means you had a personality that you were willing to be confrontational. Okay, because by nature, you have to have that. And is that what maybe you didn't feel good about? Like what drove you back away from it?
Great question.
Politics.
Really? Even there?
Yeah. So the community where I worked in a suburb of St. Louis, where I grew up, the police chief was an elected official as opposed to hired on merit. And the mayor had been mayor for 22 years, I believe. And so if you weren't on the mayor's ticket, you weren't getting elected. So when you have that, now the chief of police and or the police department is sort of beholden to the mayor. Ooh. And for me, it was confrontation that I wasn't looking for. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanted to protect and serve?
I did. And I think that's because I grew up in the inner city in St. Louis. And things were tough and I saw people that needed help. And so I thought, I'd like to do that. And I had a friend of my dad's that was a police officer in the community where I lived as a kid. And I looked up to him. And so that kind of inspired me.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you got, Bob?
No, back to the when
Oh,
Bob
so is that something you kind of pursued in your younger life, or did that shift as you became, what, I don't know, when does somebody come into something like that, 9, 10, when things shift and maybe not so much?
Yeah, I think so, because I realized that jet pilot wasn't in the cards for me. Yeah, so that's kind of where it came in. And
okay, so when did it shift? When did you shift from those kind of, regular old kind of jobs to maybe I'll be an artist?
Oh, well, hang on. Before that, if I might, Susan,
Yes,
first of all, Susan goes, "Oh yeah, we know your mom was musical." I have no idea that your mom was musical. Was your mom
I knew
musical and your parents are musical?
My mom had at some point in time, well before I was born, sang in a band.
Oh.
Sorry, we're friends. I forget. Go, Tom.
And she loved to sing and sang around the house, stuff like that. My uncle Ken was actually a professional piano player and traveled all over the United States playing, and had played with some big groups like Benny Goodman and people like that.
Dorsey.
So I don't have the manual dexterity for a piano. I had a big mouth so I could play trumpet. I was full of hot air, so you could play trumpet. And then I realized that playing trumpet in a band was fun, but the lead singer, like Paul or Bob, got all the girls.
Hello.
So I had to shift my focus.
Hey, Tom, but when you were in school as a young kid, did you play any sports or football?
I did not. I did not. Our school district wasn't financially able to be involved in sports, literally.
Oh, okay.
So there were no sports. I went out for band, and I couldn't afford an instrument, so there were school instruments. And the school instruments that were left when I decided to try it were trombone, French horn, and trumpet.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't want to play a French horn because that's not very cool. I was a skinny little kid. So trombone, that's way too heavy. That thing may weigh 2 or 3 pounds more than a trumpet. So I went with the trumpet.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing was, when I was learning to play trumpet, one of the hottest groups was Herb Alpert and Tijuana Brass.
Oh, nice.
So great music to learn to play on.
Cool. It's going crazy in Central Oregon here, people. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm going in. Paul's Square's going nuts. It's me and Susan are dropping in and out.
Can you see that, Tom?
Yes, I can.
That's pretty trippy.
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay. But Tom, so you're telling me when you went into the band room and you saw those horns and you said, "Oh, okay, trumpet," you didn't know how to play the trumpet?
No. I mean, that was like 5th grade.
Oh, this is great. So now you're going to play the trumpet then, correct?
Yeah. So at 5th grade, they were just putting the band together for the 5th grade class. So nobody knew how to play what they were playing. Maybe somebody might have had a parent that taught them or something.
Yeah.
But so I got the horn, and they sent you home with only the mouthpiece.
What?
For the first week.
Yeah, to make your lips wiggle.
Right. And you had to, before you could get the horn, you had to be able to change the pitch, the mouthpiece by, with your lips and yada yada. So then when I got the horn, that was great fun. So the mouthpiece, not so much.
I would like to ask, okay, so you want to shift into music. You have a choice of some horns. Your mom's a singer, your uncle, you have music in your background.
Yeah.
Are you ever singing while you're at the house as a little kid? And does anybody or yourself go, well, I kind of can sing too, or it didn't occur to you? Like when you were heading toward a horn, how come you didn't just go, well, the heck with this, why don't I just sing?
Not so much really. I think the singing bug caught me more, in those preteen years, 11, 12, something like that, because I was playing the horn and I was playing in a band. I was a 15-year-old kid playing in a 13-piece band.
Okay.
And everybody was over 21.
Wow.
And the guy that ran the band told me when I went and tried out that if he ever caught me with a drink in my hand, not that playing a horn would not be an issue for me ever again.
Oh, wow.
So that's cool. And we had the band had 3 lead singers. It was, it was great. And, here I am 15 years old and I'm playing, they did a lot of soul stuff, Sam and Dave. So all the great horn parts, all that stuff. It was great. But seriously, I kind of got the singing bug. I had met a guy that had a hit record in St. Louis. His group had a big hit record. And he kind of befriended me. He befriended me and we talked a lot. And his name was Walter Scott. And Walter was such a nice guy. And I went to his house and he tried to, talk to me about how to do it. Don't get in trouble, do these kind of things, blah, blah, blah. And so in my bio, it says, he's the first famous person I met. But sadly, he was killed by his wife's boyfriend. And
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
very, very unfortunate thing. But so I credit him as kind of really giving me the little push. And I started out in a little country band, 4 guys, and
Is that
I
the
got
do
in
count?
another band. I'm sorry?
Is that the do count?
No, that was the band. That was the big soul band. They're the big
The 13-piece.
brass band,
Yeah.
13-piece band.
Oh, that was that band. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And then I messed around with a little band called, get this, T-Mac and the Drifters. We were a country band.
T-Mac and the Drifters.
Yeah.
Charlie
cool.
Daniels
So-
might have something to say.
What do you got,
about
Bob?
that. No, I wanted to know. So when you turned vocalist, do you remember your first performance when you stepped up to a microphone without that horn and what song you sang and what the setting was?
It was a little country nightclub. Again, I'm not really old enough to be in there. And it was a little country nightclub. And I remember exactly what the first song was. And I remembered that the only thing you could hear above the drums were my knees.
Oh, Tom. Poor thing.
First song I ever sang for money was, "Hey, won't you play another somebody done
All right.
somebody
Good
wrong
choice.
song?"
Yeah, good choice. That's great.
B.J. Thomas.
Oh, no.
Amen.
kidding.
And then I got it. Well, truthfully, the funny thing about that was I got in another band, which lasted, I think, 4 hours. They had been doing better than the little band I was in. And I got that because someone told the guy that ran the band that they had just seen me in this little country bar and that I sounded kind of like B.J. Thomas.
Okay.
And so that's why I got the gig. And then many times in different bands and through singing, people have come up and said, "Do you know you sound like B.J. Thomas?"
Good too.
And so when I met B.J. For the first time in person, I thought, man, this is so cool to meet this guy. Because I kind of felt that he helped me along my career without ever knowing it.
Aww.
And he was such a nice man,
You probably
Okay,
met-
so go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
well, I was just wondering if that probably concerts at sea, you probably met B.J. Thomas. Maybe it was there that you met him. I don't
It
know.
was.
Yeah, that was
It was.
great opportunity there.
It was. And through the, through the Classics 4, he and I talked. He knew Dennis. He knew all the guys from the group.
Oh, wow.
He knew the producer. And one of the first things he said was, he asked me, he said, "Are you guys working much?" And I said, "No." And he gave me his agent's name in Nashville. He said, "Call him up. They'll tell you that he's not available. Tell him that I told you to call." And so the guy got right on the phone. So it's pretty nice.
Were you, Paul, good move coming in and out, Paul. You're clear as a bell now. That was funny what was going on. So, Tom, you're a singer, you're in bands and you're in cover bands and you're doing what we all have done. Now, at what point does the level of that participation turn to where you're meeting people? You're going to meet Dennis. You're getting into a mix of where your future is going to be defined. So how does that take place?
Well, my group that I had a group called the Spectres. We started opening for a lot of different acts.
Oh, good.
Gary Puckett, the Buckinghams, Mark Lindsay, the Letterman, the Turtles. I found a picture today
Incredible.
of Howard and Mark posing for a picture with us behind the stage.
Aw.
So that's how I met all these people beginning the opening show.
Awesome.
And when this thing came up with Dennis, Tony Buttel, founding member of the Letterman, reached out to me and said, you need to call Linda Yost. And Dennis has been in an accident and blah, 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 blah. And so that's kind of how this whole thing really got rolling.
Wow.
Okay, but so you were kind of picked out for that. You were like, I mean, a lot of people open up for all these guys. I mean, you must have made an impression.
Well, I had a very good group. I had people that I was very fortunate to I had, my bass player and I've been together 35 years. I didn't have turnover. So we had a very tight show and
nice.
Everybody could sing, 6-piece band, and everybody could sing. So we had a lot of harmonies. And
when Tony saw you, because Tony sounds like the bridge to Dennis to me in your history. When Tony saw you,
yes.
Yeah, when he saw you perform, were you singing any Classics 4 songs at all? I was just curious because you got that smooth voice. And
no,
you didn't think of doing them, huh? Okay. I was wondering if they were in your cover.
I did not. They weren't. We were doing. We did a Letterman tribute. The three, myself and my bass player and a keyboard player, we did a 3-part harmony. Did a Letterman medley. A lot of dance stuff. Buckingham's.
Is that why I had read a thing, Tom, about how you were hired? Was it by Tony to do an after show? Like he asked you guys to come open. Is that right?
Well, not initially. So the story initially was this.
I liked all that.
Yeah. The story initially was this. We were hired. The Lettermen were coming to the town where I live in Central Illinois. And we were hired by the promoter to be the opening act. Mm-hmm. We get there. We're set up. We're getting ready to go. And in fact, you played that theater at the Bloomington Center for the Performing Arts in 2016 with the Happy Together tour.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we're there. We're getting ready. We're all ready. The promoter comes over and he said, "Well, we have an issue. The Lettermen don't want an opening act."
Oh, should have checked that out before they called y'all.
You think? So I said, "Well, okay. I need my check." And I wasn't going to do it for free. We were there. We were set up. We were ready to go. And I had a contract. So he went over and was kind of milling around doing whatever. I don't know. He kind of sort of disappeared. And Tony walked over. And I said, "Hey, I'm
acting up."
Yeah. I said, "I'm sorry. I guess you don't want an opening act." And he said, "You guys are ready to go. Just do it. Let's just do it." And so that was in 1986.
Oh my goodness.
And Tony and I have been friends ever since.
Yeah. And then didn't he call you and ask you to actually come open for them or play something for them?
Yeah. We did several opening shows for Tony. And when we started to put this together, Tony produced the first CD that we put together as a Classics 4. Actually sang some harmony on it. He didn't like the high harmony part we had, so he put it in. But he's for many, many years now, he's been a great friend. And I've been fortunate to meet people that I'm friends with now, Carl and Nick. I met them in 1990. We opened for them and we kind of hit it off. Gary, I would open for Gary several times. Wow. So it's just weird, these people in your life, they kind of come around. It's there's a circle, and you kind of come back to that circle.
Absolutely, we know about that.
Yeah, and you guys are part of it now, and have been for a while.
Can I take you back to this with Dennis and the Classics 4? Because I want to know what it was like to be in front of a guy who you know that he's not doing it anymore. You're gonna take the responsibility of his legacy with his permission. I get that part. But you're still this weight you're gonna take on, because once you say yes to this, you know, you're gonna step into basically a career. So it's a career move, right? I want to know what you were feeling, if you don't mind. I feel a little strange. It's so unique what happened to you with the lead singer of the hit records is picking his replacement because he's going to move on. And I don't know how you deal with that mentally. I mean, were you messed up by that at all? You're just ready to go. I mean, it seems so emotional.
Well, I wasn't messed up by it, but you know, Dennis's health was his issue.
Yeah.
You know, I guess you guys know the story. You know, he was injured in a fall at his home.
Right.
He had a traumatic brain injury. So he fell down a flight of stairs at his house, landed on the concrete below, had a traumatic brain injury, was hospitalized obviously for a while. And when I first, I'd met with his wife, Linda, and took her some stuff to, this is what it would sound like if I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And she liked it. So then it was, okay, let's go talk to Dennis. And at that point, his situation at that time was, if I could look at him like I'm looking right at you now, Bob, and then I could walk anywhere in the room and he would follow me, his eyes would follow me. But if I just walked up alongside of him and started talking, I couldn't catch his gaze.
Okay.
And he got better and better and better and better. And we talked about it and how we were going to do it. And the plan was that Dennis would come to shows as health permitted and do whatever his health permitted. Come out on stage and sing, come out on stage and wave at everybody, stand up in the audience and take a bow. Whatever he wanted to do, whatever he was able to do.
Okay.
So we had that plan. And one of the funniest stories, and I'll tell this because it always makes me smile. Now, before I tell you, I'm going to tell you the one that didn't make me smile.
Okay.
So I go to see Dennis, and the first time we met in this room, the first time I saw him in this room, he's sitting there in this little rehab center alone. He's got a little TV. It's about a 12-inch screen. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, here's this guy that sold millions of records.
Yeah.
And at one glance, the only person that cares anything about him is his wife. Here he sits alone in this little room,
Yeah.
It broke my heart. It brings tears to my eyes right now.
Yeah.
And so my thought was, what can I do? Is there something I can do to help that, to make that better?
Boy,
and
no. Yeah.
So he got better. We talked more, and in fact, the guys and I went in the studio and we recorded all the hits for a CD that we were going to release. It was like our promotional CD.
Smart. Yeah.
So I took Dennis a copy without my vocal, and the people at the rehab center said, we really wish you hadn't done that. And I said, why not? They said, because he gets up in the morning, he has breakfast, and he puts that CD in, and he sings all day.
That is amazing.
He sings all day. He practiced all day trying to get better.
Oh.
That was helping him. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was glad I did it.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
So our plan was that Dennis would come to shows and stuff. And in April of 2008, we did a show in Indiana, and Dennis was there in the audience, front row. Now, if you want to talk pressure, I'm standing there singing these songs, and the guy that made him famous is looking at me.
That's what I'm talking
from
about.
the front row.
It's very
There's
unique.
no pressure there.
Very unique.
Very unique. And at the intermission, I asked Dennis if he'd like to come up on stage. And he said yes.
Oh, awesome.
Without question. So Tony Butala was there. And so I helped Dennis up on stage because he wasn't real steady. And there's a picture of Tony on my left and Dennis on my right. And the three of us are singing Traces of Love. The Letterman had a nice hit with Traces of Love, Memories medley.
Medley, yeah.
And I've told a story, and I mean it with all sincerity. The sun is starting to get me. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
There's that kid's song. I think it said, what is it? One of these is not like the other. Which one could it be?
That's from Sesame Street.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm standing between Tony Butala, million selling record guy, and Dennis Yost, million selling record guy. And I'm thinking, one of us is not like the other. Oh, that must be me.
Joe Citizen in the middle.
Yeah. And so Dennis had a great time. He signed autographs that night till his hand wouldn't work anymore. He was so tired he couldn't write anymore.
Wow.
So we thought we were on the way. Here's our plan. This is going to work. And then on the morning of December 7th, 2008, Dennis passed away.
Wow.
He was doing so much better in the injury areas. I think they were paying so much attention to that. They missed the fact there were some other health things going on.
Okay.
Oh, it's a shame.
Okay.
Yeah. The doctor described it to his wife as like a house of cards. His organs, his vital organs were like a house of cards. And as long as they were all leaning on each other, they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them started to get weak. He developed a respiratory infection.
Yeah.
And everything just fell apart. She called me and said that he was passing, and 2 hours later she called me back and he was gone.
Wow.
It was quick. And
now,
so since then, here we are.
Totally. But at that point, what is going on? We know what's going on with you, but there's the Classics 4. What happened to them in terms of this kind of thing? Did it kind of disband with the originals possibly, or is Paul?
All the guys were gone. Dennis was the only original left.
Okay.
Everybody else had gone. J.R. Cobb, who co-wrote Spooky and Stormy and all those songs, J.R. left and was able to find another job. He formed the Atlanta Rhythm section.
Big.
So he was able to struggle ahead. But J.R. and Buddy Buey, who was the producer for the group, they left and formed the Atlanta Rhythm section, and of course had great success with that as well.
Sure.
Another member had left, and Wally Eaton, who was a founding member, if you guys will remember 2019 in Jacksonville, I had Wally on stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the city gave him a proclamation defining June 2nd,
I remember
2019, and June 2nd from that day forward to be Classics 4 Day in Jacksonville, where the group started.
Yeah.
And so it was great. It was great to have Wally on stage with us, and I talked to him fairly often, and he's 100% behind what we're doing, and so we're in a good place.
Did you, after Dennis passed in December 7th, after that, did you pretty much have the operation set up in terms of you could move forward with the Classics 4 now? You got the new plan. It wasn't what you wanted, but it's what you got. And you were comfortable moving forward now. The transition, you sort of passed the baton. That had been done, right?
That had already been done.
Good.
Yeah. It was apparent that Dennis's singing was probably going to be not what he would want it to be. But so we already knew what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. It sure, it took a lot longer to get it off the ground than anybody anticipated. We kind of felt like, we have this catalog, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in reality, it was a struggle. And I think you guys know my wife, Jody, obviously. I think there was a few times she was thinking, what in the world are you doing?
So when would you say that? Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. When
No,
would you say that it started working?
It started working. Oddly enough, I think we did a couple of shows with the Letterman, and that was that good exposure. But really, 2010 on Concerts at Sea.
Okay.
I met Bob and his
Tammy.
brand new wife, Barbara, at that time, and Bill Medley, and let's see, gosh,
We know that group.
Larry from the association, and I met all these people and had some conversations about this, that, and the other thing. And what I found was that people in the industry, people that I never thought I'd meet, let alone become friends with, were pretty willing to try and, here's something you might try. Call this guy. And so that kind of got us a little bit going. And then Mitch Carduna.
Oh yeah.
Mitch called me, and he said, "Who's representing you?" And I told him who we were with at the time. We were with Wolfman Jack, and we talked a little bit. And so we went with Mitch, and he started really. He's a go-getter, and he really helped push us and get things rolling. And so I'm very thankful to Mitch for working hard. I think Mitch is a guy that you don't have to call him; he'll be on the phone calling you for gigs.
Right on. Bob, what do you got?
Well, I have a question. This is a long journey you went through, and are still on with the Classics Forum. The world that was created in the universe. Was the fan base who are going to go along with you on this? How were they? Were they supportive at first? Were they flexible with you? Were they understanding? Did you really connect with them at all? Connect later?
We went through the, and we still, every once in a while, still, you're not Dennis Yost. Well, that's very true. Never claimed to be. And, obviously it couldn't be. But so we had some issues with that. And that was also at a time when there was a move to try and have the Truth in Music Act passed. And so that was another stumbling block. You guys are probably aware of that. But it said that if you didn't have an original member, then you couldn't perform as that group. That never got the traction, and it went away for a couple reasons. One of which is the legality of, at least the way I understood it, and I'm no lawyer, so what I was told is the legality that says if you own a trademark, you have the right to use it. So that plan would have been against that.
Okay.
And second of all, as we're all getting older, as everyone's aging, so does the music just die? Does it just stop? What is that?
I know Howard Kalin had a great analogy about the Santa Clauses. Do we not have Christmas? What do you want? We find out there's no Santa, and so we just get rid of Christmas, or do we have a bunch of guys out there representing Santa and Christmas?
I was never a fan of 4 or 5 groups performing as one group.
Well,
at one time there were numerous groups performing as the Drifters, and Charlie couldn't get arrested.
The other thing that happened, Tom, I think, is that the catalog is what became important. And if Tom Garrett wants to take on the responsibility with Dennis Yost's blessing to make sure the public hears these songs still and they're performed live still, that's a great responsibility we think you took on. And I remember a memory we were on the Concerts at Sea Cruise where we met you for the first time. You were actually a host, kind of like the thrasher of the Flower Power, but it's Tom Garrett over on Concerts at Sea. And we saw your set with the Classics 4 songs, first time we saw you. And right there in the show, he stopped. You stopped. It's talking like he's not here. And you said, hey, just so you people know, I'll never forget this. I'm just taking up somebody's place here. I'm just standing here with Dennis Yost. You gave Dennis some kudo or something, which we thought was the coolest thing ever. that you said, I'm a
Mhm.
replacement actor for this guy. We know what he did and we know what I'm trying to do. And I hope I'm doing it justice. It was awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's my plan. I mean, that's my what is it, mantra every show.
Yeah.
Any when it's a Classics 4 show, you know, the tour's a little different. But when I do traces, I always dedicate traces to Dennis. And for two reasons. First of all, it was the biggest hit. But second of all, what people don't know, you know, Dennis wanted a string section on traces.
Mm.
Liberty said, no, you don't need a string section. He wanted a string section. So they made him pledge $25,000 of his royalties. And if the record did whatever number X, then he got his money. If it didn't, he forfeited. And so he did to have a full string section because he felt that song needed a string section.
It's the saddest song of the night on the Happy Together tour.
I want to kind of ask Paul, even though his face is frozen, Paulie.
I'd love to talk to Paulie.
Oh, I asked my questions. I got my early stuff. I
All
want
right,
to
you're
hear about
good.
what he did as a kid. You know, we
You're
know
good. You're good. I was just making
the top
sure.
and- yeah.
All right, then I think we can wrap it up. Tom's coming out to summer camp and the Happy Together tour this summer, and we're going to rock the country again. We're looking forward to that.
We're going to rock the country. Do you think there's going to be 60 shows, Tom?
That's it sure
Did
looks
you
that way.
see? Wait. Thank you, Paulie. Tommy, did you see Godfrey's post that said 60 days?
I did.
Thank you. Now I'm not cuckoo.
No, I did see that. I did see that. So
what do you think about it? Do you think that's true?
Well, when I talked to someone that we all know,
Yes.
I heard 58 to 60.
Okay, well then maybe what they were gonna do, they're not anymore, and now we're going for the juggler.
That's a second source. No,
I don't know. It's crazy. But so you guys, I mean, thank you for having me on this. Your podcast is great, and I appreciate it. But I have to take a second. It may take 2 seconds. You know, people that have been kind to me, the three of you, Bob and Paul and that Susan chick, you guys have been so kind to me and supportive, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I love you guys, and I don't say that lightly.
Thank you, Tom.
I do. You guys have been kind. You're nice. You're about the nicest people I know.
Well, look,
and I know 6 people. So
you're a brother, Tom Garrett.
No,
like it or not.
I want to say it's been great getting to know you, Tom.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
You first meet, you know, everyone kind of navigates around each other. And but in this summer tour we're on, you can't help but get to know people and closer. You do become a family. So it's been a really great experience.
Yeah, you do. It's awesome. It's my favorite part.
Yeah,
you really do. And, you know, talking about, you know, people, you know, I think nobody as a kid, you know, little kid, of course, you guys started so young, thinks that they'll meet somebody famous, let alone work with them and hang out, ride on a bus and have dinner and do all the things that we do together. And it's been great. I can't wait to get back out there with you guys.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're lucky people, you guys. We got charmed lives. Charmed lives.
We really do.
Everything that we spoke of is online and Googleable, and you can find Tom, you can find the Classics 4, you can find this podcast. It'll come up tomorrow. Just go to YouTube and put in Coswill's podcast, Tom Garrett or Classics 4. It'll pop up when it gets up tomorrow night. So look for that. Thanks for your time. Thanks for persevering.
And Tommy.
And not giving up on the technology.
Yeah, well, I apologize for being late.
Jody, our love, okay?
I will do that, absolutely.
Absolutely.
She can't wait to see you guys.
See you this summer.